Hello and welcome back to the Innsmouth Case with me, Bardon. Right, so let's pick up where we left off last time. So, just to remind you, last time we went and inspected the lighthouse, and we found some strange markings and some strange notes as well that seemed to be for someone who wasn't familiar with our world or our reality. Then at the top we found a brass cube on an altar, and we've just finished touching it and it sucked away our souls. So let's see what happens from here. As you wake from restless dreams, a bright light shines into your eyes. It feels like a burning sensation directly penetrating your brain. After the initial shock, you gradually come to your senses. You are no longer in the lighthouse. You find yourself in a huge round chamber made of dark, smooth stone. Curved lines adorn the wall and give off a soft, fluorescent glow. You begin to wonder how many hours you've been knocked out. Did you have a stroke? No wonder, given all the stress you constantly put yourself under. A sound, a chirping and clacking that vaguely reminds you of insects. Only it's louder, and it seems to be coming from directly behind you. Someone's in this room with you. You turn around quickly, trying to find the source of the clacking sound, and you regret it immediately. Hideous, bizarre monsters are lining up in front of you, like on the set of a bad horror movie. They're basically just huge cones of flesh, covered with a thin film of slime. You instinctively think you're the landlady. Slugs. They have uneven skin covered with furrows and wrinkles, and a thin film of mucus. You involuntarily think back to your childhood, to that dark period you refer to as the big snail plague. You shudder as the thought of your army of snails that torpedoed your tender attempts to grow your own small tomato plantation in the family garden. Then came the rats, but right now you have other problems. The flesh cones are a bizarre sight. Your mind is having trouble processing what it sees. At the top of the flesh cones, there are 4 tentacle-like growths, each ending in a different organ. 2 from huge, sharp claws form 2 sharp claws that appear to be clicking incessantly. Another one ends in a jumble of trumpet-like tubes, and a 4th one forms what you think is the head of the creature. Okay. A round organ with 3 eyes, a set of feelers above and a ring of tentacles just below. Half a dozen of these creatures now stare at you from their bright yellow eyes, clicking their scissors menacingly. One of the beings breaks away from the group and comes towards you with his claws raised. You do the only rational thing. Try to run away. I have a feeling they just come out and grab you, right? With the claw. Prepare for a fight? Yeah. You have no idea what planet these monsters come from, but they have never had to deal with a private detective from Boston. The creature moves like a snail. It has no legs, rather its base keeps expanding and contracting. This gives you enough time to analyze its weak points. Probably should have just run then. You reckon that is about your size, and although its claws look scary, you don't think these spindly arms can exert much force. His neck is in particular seems to be a weak spot. 1 or 2 hard hits on the head should put this pathetic barnacle out of business. You raise your fist aggressively, but instead of your hands, these scissors at the end of tentacles appear in front of your eyes. You stare down at yourself in disbelief and find yourself transformed into a monstrous vermin. Where you were expecting to see your legs, there is only a fleshy cone from which 4 tentacles grow a pitiful claw arm, a trumpet-like extension, and your neck. So basically, it wasn't a dream, as we were trying to convince ourselves. We basically switched consciousness with this being who's now in our body, back in the lighthouse. You are no longer in your own body. What is happening to me? You ask yourself. But you already know it yourself. You are one of those monsters. You faint. You should be able to understand me now. You open your eyes. You are still in the same position where you lost consciousness. Only a brief moment seems to have passed. But what is this pinching feeling on your neck? Looks like a small device has been attached to your new body. Waking up in a new body is disturbing. I understand that. So first of all, let me reassure you that this state is not permanent. And when you return, you won't remember anything. You hear the voice, not through your ears or the comparable organ in this body, but directly in your head. What you hear is the clicking of scissors. I've attached a translation device to you. We can now discuss all the questions you no doubt have. Evidently, the being communicates with each other via their scissors. So, what would you like to know? Who are you? The creature straightens up. The translation in your head begins with an air of gravitas. The great race of Yith. We are the wisest species in the whole of creation. Countless eons ago, but also in the distant future, we made it our mission to gather all the knowledge of the universe. We have sent our agent through space and time to observe and study. When we learned of your own demise in this way, we transplanted our spirits en masse into this form that you now see before you. Your new friend seems to want to do a playful pirouette to show off his body, but since he is resting on a slimy snail's foot, the process takes a good 2 minutes. Snazzy, isn't it? So functional and sturdy. His scissors rub against each other, which your device translates as a bashful coughing. Anyway, to answer your question more directly, I am Mrithan. My colleagues and I are active archivists in the Great Library of Nakotos, Department of Human Studies, Western Hemisphere Subdivision, Pre-Nuclear America Working Group, or, as we call ourselves, the Tough Ombriotes. Oh, Amoebocytes. I don't know whether it went to ombre. As if they'd rehearsed it before, the other Yith in the room began to shout, "Tough Amoebocytes." Great, they're nerds. Ask another question. So, what would you like to know? Where am I? Creature's thinking. You're in Australia. Huh? You've always imagined Australia differently. The important question is, when are you? Clicks one of the beings from further back in the room. The creature close to you abruptly turns its long neck towards the heckler. Damn it, Frink. That's my favourite part. If the newcomer of the newcomer lecture. Don't spoil it for me. Oh, so their names don't have vowels in. So he's Martin, I think, and the other guy's Frank. Although you do not yet have much control over your new body, you can apparently roll your eyes. Okay, when am I? But the creature in front of you seems to be in a huff. Man, it's no fun now. You are on Pangaea in the primordial period, in late Paleozoic era, where in the distant future Australia will one day rise, about 250 million years before we picked you up. Okay. Time travel? I've travelled through time. No. Now it's the creature's turn to roll its eyes. Ugh. To make this brief, yes you did, yes like on TV, just completely different. No, we don't keep a record of lottery numbers. No, we have no interest in killing fascists while they're still children. No, we cannot start any paradoxes. The universe is predetermined and free will is an illusion. Yes, that can be a bit depressing at times, but also very liberating if you think about it for a moment. Yes, we also know about Back to the Future. Any other questions? Yes, if you can time travel, why do I have to wait here for years for bodies to be released? Would it not be possible to send me back to the point in time where your colleague leaves my body at this very moment? The creature nods slowly. Yes, you'd think, wouldn't you? No further explanation seems to be forthcoming. Let's ask more questions. What has happened to my body? What has happened to my body? The translator transforms your thoughts into clicking sounds. You can only hope that the pressing nature of your question has not been lost in translation. Yes, that's the unpleasant part of the lecture. You touch one of our carefully placed transmitters, so your mind was switched with one of our agents. Carefully placed transmitters? You mean the cube at the top of the abandoned and locked lighthouse in the forgotten backwoods village in the middle of nowhere? I guess. The transmitter is placed in a way that ensures that it is only found by people who are not easily missed. While you are here, our agent is gathering vital information about your society and environment using your body. You are to remain here in his body and must wait until he has completed his mission. Then we will erase your memory so you won't take any of our superior knowledge with you and send you back. And how long does that normally take? The creature answers sheepishly. 3 to 10 years max. This information hits you like a kick in the stomach, which in this body seems to be at the bottom of the fleshy cone. It's a very unusual feeling. 3 to 10 years? You mean Earth years? What am I supposed to do in the meantime? Well, we've got a lot of things to read around here. Also, we'd like you to write down your life story for us. An autobiography for the great library, preserved for all eternity. Bit of immortality most beings in this galaxy dare not even hope for. Oh dear. But I'm on a mission. I need to find a little girl. People are counting on me. The creature looks at you with something that even despite the strange facial features, you manage to recognize as skepticism. If your mission was so important, why did you waste so much time at the lighthouse? Good question, actually. You need to accept that your mission is over. Try to use your time here productively. So what would you like to know? Mention your vegan diet. No, I have no questions at this stage. The creature seems to be baffled by this. Really? None? Nope. Okay, in that case, we'll set you up for training so that you can get to know your new body a bit better. Once you've made some progress, we will teach you to write in Yith, and then you can start with writing down your life story. Frink, can you give me a hand here? Frink arrives with a machine that looks like a mix between a forklift truck and a spatula. He carefully scrapes your current still useless snail body off the floor and transports you out of the room. First, you learn to control your new body. The trumpet-like extensions, which simultaneously serve as a breathing organ, mouth and their waist outlet, prove to be the biggest challenge. You can only eat if your whole body is working on the task. You almost suffocate several times while eating. You sincerely hope that the agent using your body is doing a better job of it. Then you start to learn the curved script of the Yith. In fact, everything in the culture of the Yith is curved, smooth or circular. They have an extreme aversion to right angles. When you ask Frink about it, he replies something about the dogs of Tindalo, who live in the corners of time and hunt time travellers. Fair enough, you start to settle in. All in all, Yiths prove to be quite boring people once you actually get to know them. Their bodies do not allow for much mobility. They have no sense of fiction, and they reproduce via spores. A very impersonal process which ensures that sex and love and all the dramas associated with them are completely unknown to their society. Since you are living in a host body, you are not allowed to take drugs or participate in any exciting or dangerous activities. The vegetarian food of the Yith is either very bland or the taste buds are not very developed. Perhaps it's by design, since this species takes in and excretes food through a single organ. You would kill for a bag of potato chips. Then comes the point where you're asked to write down your autobiography. You write... what would he do? I think because he's a kooky detective, he'd probably go for this one. A mix between spy stories and adventure novels. with a sprinkle of karate. Your fiction biography has it all. Excerpts from your life as a secret agent, bomb countdowns that are interrupted only at the last second, exaggerated romances with the political enemy, twists. It's all completely fabricated, but you don't care about that. You have created a piece of pretty damn entertaining literature that will get the various juices of many a Yith flowing. If you regret one thing, it's that there are not enough scenes with hackers. You give a shrill hoot, the Yith equivalent of a deep sigh. It'll have to do, otherwise you'll end up rewriting the whole thing. After a few dull months, it's finally time for a party. In a large hall, one of the archivists gives an extremely long and boring lecture on the importance of rapeseed oil in various human and post-human civilizations. All the Yith gather around the small bar tables in the area and listen intently as they sip on nourishing slime, which is slightly sweeter than usual. Afterwards, there is competition in solving quantum equations. The different working groups, complete with nerdy and terribly boring team names, compete against each other. The archivists of your working group, the tough amoebocytes, are kicked out early on by the Atlantic pre-humanites and the persistent platyhelminth to lukewarm applause. It is practically an orgiastic celebration by Yith standards. For you, the most important part of the evening is the first contact with other guests of the Yith, other beings pushed out of their bodies by the agents of the library and hurled through time, stand around in their guest bodies and talk to each other quietly. Fortunately, they have small name tags on which you can see not only their names and working group, but also their species of origin. With you at the table are two creatures who are identified as Gregor, post-Mohammedan Eurasian Homo sapien, and Zekiel, daughter of Kildsklicks, second Amazon desert epoch, Mega Periplantenta Technologicus. You have the urgent need to talk to someone to avoid dying of brain hemorrhage due to boredom. You'll talk to Gregor, another human being, the first contact in months you've had with another person. You turn to Gregor. So, hi, it's nice to meet a fellow human being. Where exactly are you from? Gregor, Yith head flops towards you. He seems to have been lost in thought, but you have the feeling that he is happy to have an opportunity to talk. Is this true? Another human being? I'm so happy to finally be able to talk to a comrade. My name is Gregor Ivashchenkov. I'm from Kiev. Gregor's head flops about rhythmically. And when are you from? Gregor's upper tentacle briefly twitches. Only a few seconds later do you realize that it was probably an attempt at a tired smile, performed by a person in a body that meets exactly zero the anatomical requirements for a smile. Okay, sorry, had to put a bit of a cut in there. Someone's at the door. Right. The last thing I remember is celebrating Labour Day with my friends. That was in 1980. I was promised that in 6 years, at the very least, I would be allowed to go on with my life. And I will. Chernobyl, here I come. Luckily, you're currently in a robust Yith body because your human face would be chalk white right now. Well, he's not going to remember anything, is he? So let's not say anything. Without letting anything on, you listen to Gregor talk about his job in Chernobyl. Security inspector. Impressive. Bringing a family to town, I see. Nuclear power as the energy source of the future. Sure. Gregor's head flops about rhythmically. Let's ask him about the comrade thing. Comrade? Tell me, Gregor, what country are you from? Gregor appears to be standing up a little bit taller. From the greatest country in the world, of course, the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics. Only now does he seem to be reading your own name tag. Oh, an American. Tell me, in your time, are the workers of your country finally free? Have the capitalist devils surrendered to communism? He's waiting for an answer. Wouldn't quite put it like that. You say without getting into specifics. What? Are you serious? Gregor says resignedly. You're only saying that because you're bitter. You change the subject so as not to add fuel to the fire. Gregor's head flops about rhythmically. Okay, why? I guess I love vodka. It's kind of I suppose it is kind of a stupid cliche thing you might say to someone from the former USSR, right? I love vodka, you clack. Your scissors perhaps a little too enthusiastically. Gregor's head tentacles twitched slightly. Universal interplay sign for who doesn't. Gregor's head, okay, let's leave the party. This is how you pass your time. Despite your initial bumps, you end up getting more closely acquainted with Gregor and Zickel. Your shared fate is what ties you together. Over the coming months and years, you end up becoming friends and sharing common interests. You spend most of your time trying to produce nicotine replacements. After you come to terms with the fact that a millennia-old race of researchers has stolen your body and planted your consciousness in an alien body, you have only one goal. You need a goddamn cigarette. Fortunately, all the knowledge of humanity is at your fingertips, and so you waste no time in recreating the deadly nicotine rolls that you love so much. The nicotine itself turns out to be the biggest challenge, but fortunately, the biochemists of the Yith have no objections when you turn up at their labs one day. With single-minded focus and ambition, you experiment with plant samples, bacteria, and carnivorous viruses to create the drug you crave so much. The enterprise gains momentum when Gregor finds out about your project and insists on supporting you. After countless plant samples collected from now perished planets have been destroyed in your experiments, you finally manage to produce a synthetic nicotine-like substance, which you roll up into a bit of ancient parchment. It's only then you realize that a Yith without a mouth or a lung system is incapable of consuming a cigarette. Finally, the day has come. You're being led in the transport room. It's the same room you arrived in so many years ago. When the process started, you overhear two of the librarians talk. You erased this participant's memory, right? Oh, there's an extra U in there by mistake. You have erased this persistent memory, right? I thought you were doing that. Oh shit. And you're gone. So you get to remember everything. You wake up, as you've woken up many times before, after drunken nights out in some dive bar, after awful parties at which you drank yourself into a stupor. But it's different this time. The flickering before your eyes ceases. The agony and disorientation give way to a sense of clarity that you have rarely felt. Your normal, slightly hazy thoughts are clear, now a shallow pond, but a crystal clear lake. Your memory is filled with knowledge from the intensive studies you have undertaken in the great library. So much knowledge. Your gaze wanders through the room in which you find yourself. The room sits there calmly between those four well-known walls. You're at home on your sofa. Well, technically, it's not your sofa. It's a completely new one without the bugs and rats that have moved into a nest in the bottom. Everything is unnaturally clean, and the sofa does not seem to be the only piece of furniture that has been replaced. Later you will find out that the Yith who had swapped places with you has not only used his 6 years for highly efficient studies, he also applied for a position at the largest historical museum in Boston. Successfully, of course, because the Yith do not do things by halves. Your eyes light up as you read a number on your last paycheck. You hold the paper so close to your face that your nose brushes the paper. Twice a year, twice as often as you normally would, your possessed body has contacted your family, giving what appears to be completely neutral, boring and meaningless confirmations that you are fine. There are postcards from your relatives sending greetings from their holidays, postcards which say that they are proud of you, proud that you've managed to turn your life around. That's certainly one way of putting it. The Yith has eaten well, fresh fruit, the prescribed daily minimum of vitamins, proteins and fibre to make his studies as efficient as possible. Yith also exercise. In the bathroom you look at your body and stretch it in front of the mirror. You take off one layer of clothing after another. 6 years have gone by. Intrigued, you look at your face in the mirror. A few more wrinkles for sure. Yet you feel that your life is only just beginning. Okay. And Yith we can is the end of that one. Okay. Spend 6 years of your life among the Yith as if you had anything else going on. Okay, so that was another fun one. I hope you enjoyed that one. I hope you're keeping safe out there. Hope this year is going to be a good one for you. And I hope to see you next time. Goodbye. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, maybe consider hitting the subscribe button there on the right, or checking out some other videos here on the left, or perhaps you might even share with some friends.